Oh, man. I've never been one to be following politics so closely, and I think sometimes people can be lost as to what's really going on in the nation and who's behind what. And I'm gonna tell you, watching what's transpired over the last couple weeks, a couple days rather, it's been kind of eye opening. Hey, Donna. Hey, Bubblegum Queen. You know, me and I won't say their name. They can say it if they want. They'll know who I'm talking about. But we watched some stuff about Candace Owens last night and some different things, and we actually had a very, very good conversation about what we think is going on in America right now. Listen, why do you think? And I asked the same question probably about a week and a half ago. Why do you think that they ain't never released the JFK files? I think if people really knew what our government was capable of doing, it would cause widespread panic. Now, do I think the government was involved with old Charlie? I don't know. But something's not sitting right. And I think everybody sees that. And just like with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, do you think he should have been canceled for what he said on national TV? Really, honestly, no, I don't think he should have been. Was it in distaste? Yeah. But people have a right to their opinion. And that's the problem. When you can't say what you really feel in this country without being canceled, that's a problem. Regardless if you agree with the person or not, you should still be able to speak up and say what you think. So many people try to control the voice of other people with some kind of threat or some kind of demise against what they have to say that it's really sickening to watch. They're not allowed to say what they want to say, but you can say what you want to against them. It never has made any sense to me. Good morning, British Bulldog. What's up, Grizz? We're at a time in this country that we're in a turning point. And I think it's time that people really do start paying attention. So I'm going to play some stuff from Candace. I haven't got this pulled up. I should already have had this ready to go. I know. But I don't. And y'all are going to watch the same thing that me and this person watched last night. And you tell me what you see going on here. Let me get her pulled up here. Because she makes some good points, right? No matter if you like Candace Owens or not, the things that she said has got some fire underneath people's asses. And it should be there. All right, we're going to go back to the first one though, right? Because she's been live 2 or 3 days in a row here. And the things that she's asking are totally legit to ask. And why people have a problem with what she's asking is beyond me. What's up, Jack Rabbit Slim? How you doing, sir? All right, let me share the screen right here. Like I say, I do not have this pulled up. I should have had it ready already. But y'all know how Monk does things, man. He's a spur of the moment dude. He always has been. Alright, so we're going to go back to the first one. This was 2 days ago. Let me get the volume back on.
Just the public here, if you're trying to just...
Let me see here. concerned about here? I don't really care too much about the dude's boyfriend.
And I have a
all
lot of
that
questions
shit.
that I think need to be answered regarding his trans boyfriend, Lance Twiggs. Well, I just spoke to a family member who told me a lot about Lance Twiggs because the media is kind of presenting him as this do-gooder. You might be interested to know that his family has a different perspective.
Look, ever since the very beginning, I've thought that somebody's helped this kid. And there's a reason why I think that. And, you know, I'm sitting there watching all these clips this morning. And other people are saying the same thing. Where's all this fucking footage of this kid? Why is it so grainy? Right? And just follow along with me for a minute.
Also, Turning Point employees are contacting me, a lot of them, okay? And I am not liking what I am hearing from them about things that took place leading up to that Hamptons event, some changes at the organization in the months leading up to that event, and what had been happening more broadly at the company over the last year. Speaking of which, Bill Ackman, you may have caught that he responded to me about the Hamptons with a lot of words to really say nothing.
Grizz, I'm going to tell you right now, I love a strong woman. I love a strong woman, man. I would rather be involved with a woman who has a strong personality and doesn't take any shit than a beautiful drop-dead woman who is dumb as fuck. That's just, right? That's just me. But she's got to cook, though.
At all. And I want to be clear, I am not done, okay? I'm coming for everybody. Charlie Kirk's death is really just a beginning. So welcome
What's
back.
up, Trixie? Some of the questions she asks need to be answered. I'll say that.
Let's start with some major updates regarding the Charlie Kirk case. First and foremost, what always stood out to us about this shooting was Decoy Boy, right? We're all on social media. We all watch the news. We have all, whether we wanted to or not, witnessed, thanks to social media and the news, a lot of shootings. A lot of shootings, whether...
And, you know, I was made aware last night that there was a plane that took off an hour after the shooting that they turned off their transponder and removed the information off the web. And from what I understand, that's like a no-no. Now, do I know if that's got anything to do with it? No, but it sure does look odd. Why would you turn your transponder off?
It's gang-related
it's very wild, Kirk.
Otherwise. And I have to say, I don't know if I'm the only one, never in my entire life have I seen a situation when a shooting happens and then somebody completely unrelated to the shooting that just happened jumps up and down and says that they did it and gets arrested for...
Hey,
and he is
shit.
obstructing...
If any of y'all are good at the internet, the tail number is N888 Kilo. What was that last one right there? Hold on, I can't see it. I'm in the dark this morning. Kilo G. N88KG. See what y'all can find out.
Justice. And he also happens to have this totally disgusting addiction of some description. I'm assuming it's an addiction, and that's what he's harboring. He's harboring child abuse images on his phone. That's what I'm going to tell you. That's my instinct immediately. I don't like this guy. That is suspect, okay? Something to watch. Now, in terms of this indictment, now that we can formally read the indictment, there's been a lot that's been said that I think a lot of the miscommunication is perhaps coming from Governor you about whether or not there was pressure that was put...
This is the important part of what Candace is talking about. Fuck the kid. I mean, I know that everybody's like, what do you mean fuck the kid? Listen to me. Fuck the kid. Pay attention to what's being said by this guy right here. To me, this just seems kind of weird. Why would you try to push this narrative?
response. I'll just provide you here with the highlights, okay? So he sets it up that he's a victim of something that never happened. Everybody watched my episode yesterday.
Voodoo High
okay?
Priest, yeah.
I never said the sentence, Bill Ackman blackmailed Charlie Kirk. That never happened. But of course, he's doing the typical, like, you know, the Israeli brand thing is I'm a victim, and let me tell you why I'm a victim. So he just sets it up. And I don't know why he's putting these things in parentheses of Charlie's supposed evolving stance. Okay, we can watch clips of that in a little bit. It's not supposed. And saying it's supposed doesn't make it so. But he then says Candace also intimated
I
that
love
I
her little smart-ass
Charlie.
gestures.
No full
I
sentence
just do.
there because I never said it.
Something about
never
it turns
said
on
Bill
on
Ackman blackmailed Charlie. There was a file presented, do this or else, okay? And I wouldn't have said that, okay? The first 5 paragraphs of this never-ending tweet are regarding how he met Charlie, which is not something that was ever in contention, okay? I followed Charlie Kirk on X. I admired him. I connected him. DMs, man.
Very intelligent, Donna. Very
on Zoom.
intelligent.
We talked to this on Zoom. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, you just can just delete it. Nobody cares. Not a single person cares. He then takes us through how the weekend event came together, and he even provides us with a detailed itinerary of that.
Listen, and you're going to furthermore see them try to disconnect Candace and Charlie's friendship, right? And I said this from day one. I said, as soon as I seen this video, I was like, yep, they're going to try to say that she wasn't involved with Charlie at all anymore. And damn if that ain't what they did. That's what they always do. They go after people's reputation. It's a fucked up thing.
Event. I mean, I don't know if you needed to hear the itinerary. He gets so detailed that he even has this sentence here where he wants us to know that it was even, quote unquote, punctuated by meals. Oh,
yeah, they're attacking her
okay.
credibility.
That's good to know that the event, those who attended it, the sessions were punctuated by meals.
Don't get a HELOC or refinance if you want to tap into your home's equity. You can get up to $500,000 without...
I don't care, Bill. I literally don't care at all what you ate. I understand there was an itinerary. I just don't care. Conspicuously missing. Okay, then kind of wraps it up and he's like, in short.
I don't know if they deployed drones or what, Jack Rabbit, but why would you need a plane to deploy drones? I think they got somebody to fuck out of there, is what it looks like, buddy. It looks like they got somebody out of there. Got them out of the area. Because how fast can you move on a jet that does several hundred miles? Well, I don't know how fast it was. I think they said at one time it was moving 300 miles an hour or something. That's pretty far, you know. There's so many private airports that you could depart and land. And it just didn't look right.
This was not an intervention to blackmail Charlie into adopting certain views on Israel. It was nothing of the sort. Okay, buddy, I never said you blackmailed Charlie. I asked you if this moment happened. I asked you about Bibi Netanyahu.
Right, yes.
I asked you about whether or not there was pressure that was put on Charlie, which the attendees themselves are telling me that this happened, okay? So what's going on here? Also, it's rather conspicuous given yesterday's episode, and of course he had a big timing here. Like,
has that kid confessed yet? Or is he still kind of being silent?
I shouldn't even respond to her. She's so widow. You know, widow. I just love billionaires, right? They're just so full of themselves. Their arrogance matches their bank accounts. Like, oh, we should all be like, oh, he's got billions. Let's just take it. Let's just, oh my, well, he couldn't do anything wrong. Yeah, you need to answer basic questions.
Straight
And we
shooter.
gave you an opportunity
Sometimes
to
you
do that,
gotta-
conspicuously miss.
Listen, sometimes you got to put bait out there to get people to react. So you kind of got to be able to read between the lines with people. She is trying to set people up where they have to come out and talk about it. You know what I mean? So just don't get caught up too much in the details. Just realize that she's a lady on a mission.
Is you not addressing whether or not Charlie was offered more money and funding from Bibi Netanyahu. Could you help us out? Whether or not Bibi Netanyahu invited him to Israel, as a last-ditch effort to reaffirm his support for Israel. Or if, as I asserted, and as I maintain, Charlie was being pressured throughout this event about his viewpoints on Israel, and to him, he reflected that this felt like an intervention. Okay? Can you answer those basic questions? That would be great. Like I said, it's interesting you didn't even mention Bibi Netanyahu at all. You can stand up to him. Does anybody want to jump in and say, no, yeah, the letter Charlie wrote him in May was just like a glowing, he just was overcome with passion and said, I love Israel. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful.
I don't know about the second plane, Jack Rabbit. I'll drop the link for you if you want to. Oh shit, I'll stop sharing the screen. I didn't mean to do that. If you want to come up and tell us about it, I'd like to hear it for sure. Maybe you can educate us a little more this morning. That'd be awesome.
You're gonna win this thing, and you're perfect and doing nothing wrong. Love you, Bibi. I just find that weird.
And the person that educated me about the plane last night, I was like, dude, we need to fucking super chat Candace and ask her about it, and let her know about it. And he went to her page last night, and damn, she wasn't asking the same question. So something strange about it, for sure. I'm sure we'll hear more about this plane later on. Somebody's gonna find something out.
That no one wants to address the substance of the claims here, whether or not maybe Bill himself has an opinion on whether Bibi lied by severe omission when he mentioned his last correspondences with Charlie. Because I feel like if Charlie said, I don't want to go to Israel, maybe don't bring up, I just invited him. I guess if it was friendly and everything was great and he was just going to come out, and sadly he won't be able to make it out here. And regarding, just the public.
And just a few days prior to Charlie getting killed, he was talking about this on, what the hell's that lady's name? Y'all know who I'm talking about, the blonde-headed lady.
If you're
Kelly
trying to decide
something.
What's real and what's fake, whether or not
She plays the
what we're
clips
telling
right
you is real or fake, you can take Charlie in his own words. I mean, shout out to Village Crazy Lady on X. She's a great follow. She just reads Bill Ackman's diatribe and says,
Megan
okay.
Kelly.
She goes through the itinerary. Bill Ackman just confirmed that he hosted his meeting with Charlie on August 4th and 5th. Here's Charlie talking to Megan Kelly the very next day on August 6th. Now, how do you think that meeting went down? Oh yeah, forgot to tell you that. That's the next day, okay? That is the next day that Charlie sits down and vents his frustration about how he is being treated. Take Charlie in his own words. And by the way, yesterday, we only showed one portion of what Charlie said to Megan on that show. Go watch the full thing. Remember, he's with Bill, he's with Seth, he's in the Hamptons. Bill just confirmed that gratefully. And then suddenly he's overcome with a need to vent about the pressure that both he and Megan are facing as people that have traditionally always supported Israel. Let's
What's
take
up,
Charlie
Jack
in his own words. Take a listen.
Jack Rabbit.
If you live in a Florida zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years,
my contention here is that some in the pro-Israel camp are so knee-jerk about calling you anti-Semitic or getting deeply offended if you say anything that doesn't align with their narrative, that it undermines their own cause. And I have to tell you, I find it very irritating.
Hold on, let me put this back up. I took you down, Jack Rabbit, because you muted. I don't know if it's you or not. Is that you? Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't think somebody's playing games. Anyways, back to the thing.
Credibility on the subject of Israel and don't want to be called those names when we have some mild pushback on some of the overreaches, whether it's, whether they're winning or losing the propaganda war right now. And my contention is they've begun to lose it. And I realize it's propaganda coming at us from Hamas, but Their numbers have turned here in America. They've turned, not so much with Republicans, a little bit with Republicans, but completely with the Democrat Party and with independents. They have shifted mightily
Morning,
from
Jeannie.
at least double digits highs to single digit lows now with when it comes to approval. And also,
And how many of you kind of recognize the pattern with what has happened with Trump and then what had happened with Charlie? And, you know, I was talking to somebody else on Instagram, and I'm like, dude, I'm not saying one way or another if this kid did it or didn't do it or what have you. But I'll tell you this, when you invest hundreds of millions of dollars in somebody, you get that sense that you can control what they're doing. You understand what I'm saying? And when somebody doesn't want to be controlled or muzzled and they push back a little bit, it's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth.
with respect to, you and I speculated about this at the Turning Point event, whether the possibility of Jeffrey Epstein possibly being a Mossad agent or asset or affiliated with, that's been turned around on me too, to you must be anti-Semitic. What the hell?
Hey, Mama.
That's such
What's up,
bullshit.
Yankees?
The same people who say you can criticize Israel, that's fine, we won't call you anti-Semitic if you criticize Israel, now turn around immediately and say you're anti-Semitic for even raising that. I completely reject that, and I raise this as a pushback against my friends on that particular strain of the aisle to watch it, because you don't want to alienate people who are openly your friends by going nuts in your crackdowns on mild
Nuts is the
pushback
right
on
word.
anything related to Israel. Now you take it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that, Megan. I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, where because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them to win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire
Yes,
group,
ma'am.
because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very
It's called a cut-in period. Yes, ma'am. You'll hear little noise. You'll hear like a grinding sound. But it should go away. The farther you drive it, the less you should hear it. Or if you're hearing like a consistent squeal, yeah, it's because everything's new.
very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie. You were with us. You don't have to agree all the time.
Mama, I'll tell you what you do. When you go to the store or something, reach down and be careful when you do this because it could burn you. But reach down and feel your wheel. The closer the center of the wheel you get, the hotter it's going to get. If it's real hot, then you have a problem, okay?
However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not
No.
like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical
ridiculous.
Hebrew
You're
and writing the
interesting.
book on the Shabbat. I honor the
You know, I don't know what bothers me so much about this and why I can't let it go, but something just doesn't feel right to me here. It just doesn't. But
Shabbat.
then again, anytime somebody catches a bullet to the throat, does it ever feel right?
Literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a
Hey,
step
turn
back
your
here.
camera on, Jack Rabbit.
If you've been waiting to apply for disability benefits,
Yeah, turn your camera on, buddy.
don't. Hi,
All right, I'll take that. That ain't Jack Rabbit. That's somebody playing around this morning. I don't know why people
takes
do
time,
that.
but winning benefits is life-changing.
I can tell you right now, from the energy that is coming out of him, the energy that's coming out of Megan, is where I was 2 years ago. Okay, I've been there. You can't even lie to. You can't even attempt to lie to me about what is pouring off of both of them. I was someone who spent my life,
subject.
my political life, defending Israel. Didn't really mean anything to me. It seemed like a good, argument on surface that we should support them. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. Okay, now I know that that's not even true. But like, who cares? I was just like pro-America, and I wanted to focus on BLM and getting Black America better. And then that happened. I said one thing, and suddenly, like, whoa! It was like they just line up. Like you're just. It's like Agent Smith. Okay, it's like Agent Smith in the Matrix. How many can there be all saying the same thing?
Hey, Susie,
and then
how
they
you
gaslight
doing?
you. They make you think you're crazy because they're like, why don't you understand why what you did is really wrong? I remember this.
Jack Rabbit, was that you trying to come up in the back of the studio or no?
I remember the tweet. I said, no person, nobody, no nation anywhere in the world has a right to commit genocide. And I was suddenly being flooded with messages from people. Dave Rubin, I remember this. I was like, what did you mean by that? And they're texting me, it's like, we can help you.
All right.
You can help me what? I said something that made sense. Like, this should not offend anybody. Nobody has, genocide's not cool, right? Did something change? Where was I? It's when you tweeted it. And like, you could have been clearer. You should have added that Israel would never do that. I'm like, okay, you guys are being insane. This statement stands. I was referring to Brian Mast's remarks, but even if I wasn't, and I just tweeted genocide is always wrong, that tweet should always be right. I can feel that energy, okay? When you're not sure who your friends are, they're starting to gaslight you. They're making you think you're going crazy for having sensible positions. And there's no halfway house for this, okay? I can tell you that. You're either going to take being kicked in the chest, okay, and told get out, and then suddenly they're all communicating behind your back, and just where he talks about that article, something goes out and suddenly it's like, what's going on? They're like trying to make you think you're going crazy because you're saying some sensible stuff. Charlie was at that moment.
Yes, she did, dude.
He says that he is receiving
She
messages calling him an anti-Semite. So how can you lie right now and dispute it? And better question, why are you lying? I don't like little lies. I'm being contacted by a lot of people that are telling me at just
Yeah,
within
Rusty,
48
that's
hours.
what I said. You can tell she's pissed off, man. And I think everybody deserves a friend like that in their life. Really. She's intelligent. She knows
Charlie
what to
passed.
say to get these folks to have to answer. She's putting them underneath a microscope, which is nothing wrong with that. And I read some of her comments, and they're calling her all kinds of names and shit, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Well, why is that so wrong to think outside of the box on certain things? Ain't that what the police do when they go to catch killers? Don't they think outside of the box? Don't they put bait out there for them to take? Well, so why is it so wrong for her to do it? I'm going to tell you right now, this lady would make one hell of a fucking investigator.
Way, his top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is. Many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. Okay? Charlie himself had alluded to a tremendous loss of money coming in, and we'll speak about that more. More people are going to come out with information. This is all inevitable, okay? And I'll also point you in this direction. You guys remember Bibi recently was on a PR blitz, despite the fact that he was fighting this 96,000 front war because Israel didn't do nothing, okay? He was doing a ton of podcasts in America. He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went on to Brandon Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast.
You may think that an adult that can't stop watching the P word looks something like this, but this is what they really look like.
Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk show? Told me very quick.
Oh, shit, I stopped the wrong one.
How the weekend event came together, and he even provides us with a detailed itinerary of that event. I mean, I don't know if you needed to hear the itinerary. He gets so detailed that he even has this sentence here where he wants us to know that it was even, quote unquote, punctuated by meals. Oh, oh, okay, that's good to know that the event, those who attended it, the sessions were punctuated by meals. I don't care, Bill. I literally don't care at all what you ate. I understand there was an itinerary. I just don't care. Conspicuously missing.
So I want y'all to look at this one right here. I hope that I got it in the right spot. Now, this rifle was supposed to be wrapped up in a towel. Where they got the box from, I don't know. I don't know if that's a big thing or not, but
7 minutes later, the FBI,
hold on.
Salt Lake.
That's where does she go in talking about this fucking dude from Israel? So something don't sit right with this
On
shit.
the basis of what Tyler Robinson allegedly writes to his lover,
I ain't worried.
I decided I could work them into the timeline. I could work out an approximate timeline, at least, for us to look at visually for when they in to Lance Twiggs, the unanswered questions. Were like, what was he doing at home?
It's the
What
evidence
does he do for
box.
a living? What was? Did they see each other that night? Why are we doctoring their messages? Why can't I read Lance's messages? If he's being so forthcoming,
just looks-
why can't I read how he replied?
That box just looks like it was a fucking box made for a gun. Like somebody had bought it or something. It's the only thing that made it kind of look crazy. They should have showed pictures of it being wrapped up in the towel. If in my honest opinion, if you're going to present it as evidence, you need to present it the way it was found, not the way that you want us to see it.
And at what time these messages were sent. Okay?
That's just my opinion.
There are too many things that the feds can easily do to dissuade us. Okay.
So if you miss,
And they're not
if
doing
y'all
any of
miss
it.
this, she's thinking that somebody from the feds has wrote this, these messages back and forth, and she's thinking it's a woman just by the way that they're talking. Which, like I said to this person I was talking to last night, these guys are gay. They think they're women, so they're going to try to talk like a woman. That doesn't really mean anything to me.
But they're just doing that thing which is like, are we still talking about it? No, now they're actually doing the like, this is inappropriate. Charlie's funeral's coming up. Stop yourselves.
But she's been
right
in this position
now,
before.
Okay?
She
Stop.
knows what
This
she's
is exactly,
going up
no,
against.
oh, you're inappropriate. No, you know what was inappropriate? Kirk getting shot while we all had to watch that. We are all suffering PTSD and the lack of answers that we are getting from the feds. That is the only thing here that is happening that is inappropriate. I want to be very clear. Actually, not the only thing. Bibi Netanyahu trying to spin this into, he's my good friend, I just invited him. Well, Tucker Carlson completely shredded that narrative. I don't like that Bibi lied so quickly. It doesn't make me comfortable. I don't like it, okay? And he just went live yesterday. He also brought in Megyn Kelly and other people, and he spoke about what Charlie was going through because he saw him very shortly before his assassination, and he intimates to everybody what it was exactly that was on Charlie Kirk's mind and what he was living through in that moment. Take a listen.
I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country. Immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not the same as the nation of Israel at all.
You know, listen, I don't claim to be the smartest fella ever, but I'm going to tell you right now, the quickest way to me to side-eye you is to do something like that dude did. It's hard, God dog, it's hard.
Bibi is despised by many people in Israel, and if you know people who live there, you know that that's true. There are huge divisions within the Israeli government. I mean, there are certain parts of the intel world in Israel that do not support some things that Benjamin Netanyahu has done recently. So it's not the same as attacking Israel, attacking Bibi, but I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue.
why would you do that? Right? It's not the time for that.
Charlie didn't hate Jews. He loved Jews. He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent.
You can't see the messages, Susie Q? Is that what you're saying?
To a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course. Many were supportive, but the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died. 2 days before he died, he lost a $2 million donation because he had publicly pledged to bring me to the next Turning Point conference in December. And he told me over the past couple of months he was losing a lot of donations over that pledge. They put out a flyer basically saying that I was going to be at this event giving a speech. And so he would text me and say, man, I'm really taking a lot of heat for this, and people are really mad. The American Jewish Committee called in a statement Charlie Kirk an anti-Semite and, quote, dangerous. Charlie Kirk, an anti-Semite. Yeah. He was not an anti-Semite. He was the opposite, and he was not dangerous. He was a great lover of people and a purveyor of peace. He was the opposite. And he was very stung.
His car was...
Shit, I damn restart. I didn't know if that was you or not a while ago.
Yeah, I was in a bad spot, man. I was driving down the road, didn't have very good signal.
No, so you're saying that there's another plane in question too?
Yeah. You was talking about those messages a second ago, man. There's also some controversy about that. There's kids, they've kind of grew up, well, younger people have grew up with the internet and text messaging and all that, and they have like a shorthand way of doing things, whereas older people like us, we might type in complete sentences and have periods and proper grammar and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of younger people that are saying, we don't text like that. That's something that an older person would do. And so that's another reason why they think those things are fabricated, all that stuff. But there was a plane, I saw a video about it, to where it was flying over that area. It dropped down to 600 feet and slowed down real slow and went in a circle around that area, and then left and came back 3 hours later after that shit had happened, and dropped down to about 350 feet and went in that same little circle real slow and slowed down and then took off. And people are thinking that they deployed some type of high-tech drones or something like that, and they're thinking that one of the drones was actually the one that fired the shot. And dude came back and picked them up and all that crazy shit. Of course, it's a lot of shit out there, and you never know what's real and what ain't. But that is one thing that I saw just yesterday.
Here's my thing. Then why did they need the rifle, right? And to hide in an airplane right over the top of the crowd is a lot harder than a sniper sitting up on the roof somewhere. You see what I'm saying? But here's the thing. I do not believe this kid acted alone, okay? He said that he planned it in a week and a half. I say bullshit. It's been going on a lot longer than that. And I think there's a lot more people involved in it than people realize. And I'm gonna say this, and y'all gonna go, "What the fuck is Unc talking about?" But why did they put Charlie on Air Force 2? Why did they carry him on that plane? He's just a normal citizen off of YouTube. He's not in the military. He doesn't hold any kind of credentials like that. To me, that was very odd. if it was just a normal person, they'd have never got on, you know what I mean, on a government plane like that. To me, that just didn't seem right. I understand paying respects to the man because he was speaking for our country. But there's a lot of people that speak for our country. They're never going to see the inside of that plane. To me, that just didn't seem right. That was like a red flag to me.
He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars,
I get that,
the
Rusty.
benefit of his country.
I get that, but there could have been different ways to show respect. It seemed kind of odd to me, and it may be nothing. I may just be reaching, but it did. It just seemed kind of odd.
Uncle, are you familiar with
embarrassing and bad for the United States? And
Are you familiar with using rifles at long range with scopes and stuff?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm from the woods, Bubba.
I figured that because to me, man, even if you have a low grade scope that ain't very high priced and all that, and you have a real basic 30-06, it is possible to make that shot at 200 yards, even if you have minimal training. It ain't like a real hard shot, you know?
Oh no, you just put the crosshairs on it and pull the trigger. But here's my thing. With all the jumping around that kid did and banging around, getting it up on the roof and all that, how did he not knock the scope out? And not only that, why didn't they stop him? There's literally videos of him crawling up on the fucking roof. And I haven't seen them but just that one time. But they are tracking him with the fucking camera. Somebody's seen him.
Yeah.
That's why I say the similarity between Charlie shooting and Trump shooting are exactly the fucking same.
Oh yeah, crazy shit, man.
It is.
Yeah.
And like when I first opened up this video here and was talking, you know, and I did it a couple weeks ago too when I was talking about the JFK stuff. I honestly think if people knew exactly what the government has done, it would fucking throw us in a tailspin.
Presented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that
nobody should get killed for their voice. Nobody. I don't agree with the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation. I don't like that fucking dude. I've always thought he was a little smart ass prick, but what he did didn't warrant him losing his livelihood over. It was his opinion. And you know something else, Jack Rabbit? Somebody else wrote that shit. You know that? They got screenwriters that write them jokes and shit before he goes live or whatever he airs. So the Jimmy Kimmel show, was that a live show or was that a tape process? Do you know? Oh hell, Jack Rabbit done left. Do y'all know if the Jimmy Kimmel show was a live show or was it tape?
I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course. Many were supportive. But the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died. 2 days before he died, he lost a $2 million donation because he had publicly pledged to bring me to the next Turning Point conference in December. And he told me over the past couple of months he was losing a lot of donations over that pledge. They put out a flyer basically saying that I was going to be at this event giving a speech. And so he would text me and say, man, I'm really taking a lot of heat for this, and people are really mad. The American Jewish Committee called in a statement Charlie Kirk an anti-Semite and, quote, dangerous. Charlie Kirk, an anti-Semite.
Ain't that what they always do?
He was not an anti-Semite. He was the opposite.
They try to paint you in a
not
picture.
dangerous. He was a great lover of people.
I
and a
appreciate you
purveyor
coming
of
up,
peace.
Jack
He was
Rabbit.
the opposite, and he was very stung by that. Those of us who've been called names for a long time are a little bit harder to offend. Charlie was deeply offended by that and expressed some of those feelings on Megyn Kelly's show and in other places. But that did not let up. The reason I'm telling this story is because he called me and then came to see me at my house about this topic. And I said to him every single time, look, it's,
Build a website you love with Wix.
It's crazy that they do this to people, man.
my own way to communicate my views. This is actually not the most important issue to me. There are lots of things I can talk about. I don't need to come to Turning Point. I can take a year off, no problem. I hated seeing how much he was suffering, the hassle he was getting from people, and I was being attacked too. By the way, it was a huge effort. I wasn't fully aware of it, actually, because I don't go online that much, but there was a huge effort by people, some of whom I know. And
Wrangler, I am so sick of us, and when I say us, I mean our country fighting all these wars. Not that they don't pertain to us, but I really think that we're so wrapped up and dedicated to taking everybody else's fucking problems on that we can't fix our own for it.
have helped, and like Seth Dillon,
the world
of Babylon
is a
Bee, for
crazy
example.
fucking place.
Someone who had his own problems with free speech, who was famously canceled. I like Seth Dillon. I had him on a couple of times. I had dinner with him to show support. Seth Dillon was out there demanding that Charlie Kirk take me off the roster, pull me off stage, because I had said things that Bibi didn't like or that he didn't like or whatever. Shocking
Yeah,
that
it
someone
is. It's
whose
very
whole
appalling.
persona is wrapped up in the idea that we all get to speak, and if you don't like it, make a more compelling case, that person and many others like him were advocating for me getting pulled off the stage because they don't like what I'm saying. This is a trend, and one that we should be really concerned about. It's not just about Israel, by the way, at all. The trend is really simple. People with power don't want to hear disagreement. They don't want to be challenged, ever. That's why we
At all. And that's the problem.
have free speech, to acknowledge that even those of us or people with less power still have a right to talk because they're human beings. You don't own them. So time after...
Well, that's the problem with taking donations, right? Because they feel like they own you. They feel like they own you. And you're talking about millions of dollars.
time, Charlie would call me or come to see me and let me know, wow, or show me text messages. These people are really mad that you're speaking. And I would always have the same thought, like, I feel pretty moderate, actually. I've never been an Israel hater. Obviously, I'm not an anti-Semite. I just don't want more wars, and I don't want a foreign country humiliating my country and telling us what our laws have to be. I mean, this seems like pretty basic America First stuff, and he would say, I totally agree with you, but they want you off the stage. And I would always say, no problem. And he would say, no, it's important. It's a matter of principle. I want you to be there. Great. By the way, I'm not accusing anyone of being involved in that murder. I'm not trying to mutter darkly or imply anything. There's a lot we don't know about who murdered Charlie and why, but I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I think it's important to say that out loud because it's a fact, and there are many liars out there trying, Bibi Netanyahu, number one among them, shamefully, who are trying to distort the truth, a truth that I know and can prove.
What I want to add here is that it takes a truly demonic spirit, right, to be a...
True that, Rusty. Fucking true that.
part of the people that were swarming, pressuring, threatening, intimidating Charlie to then flip in 1 second after he dies and say, pretend it never happened, like they were just great friends. That's weird to me. It's very weird to me. We wouldn't be here if they didn't do that. They could have said anything, by the way. Like, Josh Hammer, I know how you were messaging him. Like, release the messages, buddy. Just release all of your threads with Charlie in the 48 hours leading up to his death, okay? Let people see it. They did it at first regarding me last year. They insisted, and I said, Charlie, I couldn't even come up for air. I said, Charlie, don't even think about it. I don't even care. Don't even fight your donors. Like, just let them think they won, because I got to rebuild my entire life. I was just publicly fired. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, you're good. Like, you are so good. I couldn't even care about this less. Like, you're a brother to me. Do what you have to do to survive. Okay.
What's
and then
up,
he just
Holly?
saw them moving into it. It wasn't just Candace. They wanted Tucker. You're not allowed to talk to Tucker. Tucker shouldn't be here. And then Charlie realized which way the wind was blowing, because it's never enough. It's never enough with them. Okay. They want to be the authority on speech. And it is reality that those very same people who were pressuring him.
Let me see if we can find. Let me see. Let's share this tab here. Let me see if I can find where this fucking dude. I don't remember exactly where she says this shit in this video, or she lets it play per se. She didn't say it. These idiots said it.
Really see what I see here, and we need to demand answers, okay? So on September 11th, we are presented with the first FBI press conference where they confirm that they have found a weapon in the woods. Let's take a listen to a bit of that.
This morning, I can tell you that we have recovered what we believe is the weapon.
I think I'm playing the wrong video, y'all. Hold on just a second. Let me. Yeah, this is the one. Sorry about that.
Seen everything, and they know exactly how to clean it up. With direct access to powerful IRS programs and from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge
I want y'all
Challenger
to listen
driving
to this shit right
back
here.
in this.
This is important.
That suspicion is growing. Okay.
This part right here is fucking very important. I want y'all to listen to what they're putting out there and who is putting it out there. And just catch the last name.
Like I said, unless that man is a cold-blooded killer, he just seems to be la-di-da, eating some Dairy Queen, and it's not making sense. Now, there is something that another local told me that the locals are discussing that they believe actually took place, and it rings a lot truer to me, a lot truer than anything that I've heard thus far from the feds. I'm going to tell you that in a moment, but first, I decided to sort of hyper-focus on the doorbell cam footage, right? Because that mysteriously made its way to TMZ the morning after Charlie's assassination. Can we actually, what time did that footage make its way? Just so I can take a look. I'm going to go on to day 2 here. When did TMZ release the footage? Well, I don't know actually the exact day they released the footage. I think it was, their footage said that at 8:07 a.m. TMZ is the first on September 10th that tells us that there is doorbell cam footage. But I actually want to see when TMZ released it. So can you just put a note for me, Skylar, that I want to look up when TMZ announced it? I feel like it was in the morning. Okay.
I'm gonna speed this up just a minute.
So I started asking myself, like, where did that footage come from? Right? We should look into that. Let me just say this right away. As a rule, when a tragedy happens, I don't love the people who have the instinct to immediately speak to the press after a tragedy. What I mean to say is that imagine you're on campus somewhere, a shooting happens, students are screaming, they're running, somebody is dead. I feel that a normal person's instinct is to make sure their loved ones are okay in their immediate vicinity, make sure they are okay, obviously, and then to call and alert everyone who would be concerned that you're okay, right? Maybe your mom's texting you, but like you're gonna get on the phone first with like your mom and dad. You're not gonna get on the phone with TMZ. You're gonna speak to the press first. I don't think so. So it's always a good question when you sense that something is wrong, as I very much sense right now with the Charlie Kirk assassination, to go back and reflect on who opened up to the press with information. Look, if you've been a long-time listener of the show, the mainstream media has been controlled by the CIA since Operation
That's a whole
Mockingbird.
different.
And so I addressed that question. Who is it that gave the footage
Y'all
to
are definitely right on the digital thing, but that's a whole different conversation. But it does need to be talked about for sure. Nobody has the right to know where you spend every fucking penny that you have. It's nobody's goddamn business if you want to go to McDonald's 50 times a fucking week, as long as you can afford it. But that's the whole thing about digital currency, is to make sure that the government gets every bit of your fucking money. That's all that is.
TMZ. Why TMZ? whose instincts would it be
But it's a
to give the
privacy
footage to
issue with
TMZ?
me.
If you're really just a person living out in Utah, surprised by everything, why are you giving it to like TMZ, which covers celebrity gossip
And
out of
not,
Hollywood?
and not only that,
right?
if they take the digital dollar, let me explain something to you. Most of your business owners have bent the law in some way, shape, or form to get ahead. It is about impossible to start a very profitable business in this day and time without doing so, because they're so far in your fucking pocket about everything. But like I say, that's another topic for another time.
New York Post. That's not supposed to be a local paper, a local news source. Why would you hit up the New York Post?
Yeah, him.
Which
him
Utah
and a few other
citizen
ones.
thought of TMZ
But
first?
yeah.
Was it them or was it the feds? Well, we were able to stalk that. Okay, we were able, because gratefully, one of the individuals who owned
you
the
want
house,
to pay more taxes. I know that's
spoke
right.
to a
yeah.
local news station.
I know that's
The
right.
day after, the morning after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. His name, you're going to see, is Irwin Steele. Let's watch that footage of Irwin Steele the next morning.
Kathy Beckel led us to her backyard. She says police searched this area for the suspected gunman and his weapon. Just a few streets over, Irwin Steele was another neighbor who was met with officers
Remember that
in his
last
front
name.
yard.
It was scary. It's. I know it's been said many times, but this is a safe place. This is a calm place. We're right next to, the largest university in the state, but at the same time, they're generally good people.
Steele says they're helping authorities by giving them any footage they have on their outdoor cameras. But he says it's still startling to know the gunman could have been so close to their homes.
We have students going up and down the street all day long, and it's never been a threat to our safety. And so for something like this to happen it's shocking. It's really shocking.
Seems like a good guy. I have no beef with him. Immediately, actually, I was wondering, why were we ever told that it was doorbell cam footage? It obviously was not doorbell cam footage. It's too high, hence, the height of the footage in general.
They just
Secondly,
misspoke
like I
on
said,
it.
this clip is from the morning after Charlie Kirk's assassination. So TMZ had already publicized that footage. And so that strikes me as a little odd. That would stipulate that either the feds, like I said, collected that footage the night before and then immediately gave to TMZ, or this guy himself gave it to TMZ before he gave it to the feds.
Christy.
So we're looking into Irwin, and we find that he doesn't just co-own just that one house on the street with somebody else named Samuel Steele, but Samuel and his wife Carrie are the ones that own the house that
Rich, I'm in your studio, I believe. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to.
gave the footage, not Irwin. But Irwin is saying that he lives in that house, but actually
Fucking
we
crazy,
found
ain't
some
it,
other
buddy?
Steeles that live in that house. And I'm wondering, okay, that seems a little bit confusing. Maybe you're all family. You just go, oh, okay, well, we kind of own all of these houses, whatever. But that strikes me as a little bit odd. I decided to look a little bit further to see like what it was that he was in. Like, what business is your family in? And it turns out that they work for an engineering place, a place that makes called Caldera Engineering. It's a company called Caldera Engineering, and ostensibly they manufacture valves. Okay. Now that stood out to me because I just find that the manufacturing of valves keeps coming up when I look into certain people, because I'm all about the genealogy, and I could name 3 people that I got curious about whose family manufactures valves. I don't know if that's a big business out in Utah. Also in Canada, when I was looking into Harley Pasternak, that's exactly what his family did. They were in piping and valves, and I'm going, okay, whatever. A local source told me that virtually everyone on that block works for that company. The Steeles are a big family in Orem. Okay, fine. And it's like, yeah, that's something that our source, we have a very good source, said that whole block is pretty much employees of that engineering company, Caldera. Okay, just put that in the back of my mind. Looking for some other witnesses. I decided witnesses pertaining to Tyler Robinson. We have a second witness, and her account is kind of confusing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. First and foremost, her last name also happens to be Steele, but this one witnessed something 4 hours away. Her name is Sherry Steele, and she spoke to the BBC.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
About
I
how
haven't
she
seen
had
that interview,
witnessed
Wrangler.
the police swarm the townhouse of Tyler Robinson and Lance while she was walking her dog in the evening. Here is what she says. I'm going to read it directly here from the article. This is from the article. It reads, Sherry Steele, who lives across the street from the residence, came back from an evening walk to see a large police presence.
That's two Steeles.
In a video that she showed the BBC, for some reason the BBC is not publishing this video, a loud voice, which she said belonged to the authorities, can be heard shouting, "Freeze!" and "Come out now." It just kind of blows your mind coming up the street and all of a sudden there are helicopters above your house, Ms. Steele said, adding that she had never spoken to Mr. Robinson.
We got scamming going on.
Couple of things that don't work about that testimony to me. First and foremost, doesn't work with my timeline. I really care about my timeline here, okay? She said she's walking her dog in the evening. We are told by the feds, well, 33 hours should have been nighttime, right? Their 33 hours should have been 9 p.m. Is when Tyler Robinson, that turned himself in. But then we found out from other sources that actually it was more like 7 o'clock p.m. You know, feds are saying 33 hours. That's 9 o'clock p.m. Certainly wouldn't describe it as an evening walk with your dog at that time. And by the way, at that time, according to our source, they didn't move at all. Okay, we're supposed to believe that it was overnight that they brought in Lance, and then, according to Lance's own family, it was overnight that they, after bringing Lance in around 11 o'clock p.m.-ish, right? And then overnight is when they then swarm the household and then go through everything. So what's going on here? Second thing about Sherry Steele is I can't find her. We stalked. We looked through databases. We contacted Lance's family to see if they're familiar with that name. I cannot find a woman named Sherry Steele that lives in that building complex, nor can I find her alleged footage that the BBC mentions the following morning. Just putting that out there. But let's move on, because there are going to be two more Steeles, this time minor children. We do know, according to the indictment, that there were children that witnessed, that were there for the shooting. And these children, like I said, are going to provide an eyewitness testimony to Charlie Kirk's shooting. And they are with their aunt, Tiffany. And they say that they saw what happened up close. And I believe you're going to hear them say that they were a family of 16. So, like I said, my source says there are a ton of Steeles that are in Orem. Here is what these particular Steeles told Good Morning America in the early hours following Charlie's assassination, like the next day. Take a listen.
We're joined now by Tiffany Barker and her nieces Elle Steele and Mia Grant, who were all in the audience yesterday afternoon. Thank you for joining us this morning. I know it's been a difficult day for all of you right now. And Tiffany, let me begin with you.
Just find it kind of odd, too.
Remember about the scene yesterday.
I find it kind of odd that it's all Steeles, right? And Candace goes on here to say that this lady's been on the news in several different events. How in the fuck does one person get on the news different places over tragedies and shit, right? It's kind of fucking weird. We're going to skip the kids, though. Now, I want to try to find this interview with this fucking clown right here. I think I just found it. Here we go.
I didn't feel compelled to come out and make 2 videos to tell people that I didn't kill him. That would be weird. Like, you would be like, Candace,
yeah, and 4
why do you feel
hours
like you
away.
say that?
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson had to make 2 videos.
It's fucking crazy, ain't it, Rich?
Saying I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. You would go, that's weird. Megyn Kelly.
Yeah, a Steele on the block where the gunman was, and a Steele watching the raid go down 4 hours away. Yeah. And then the Steeles at the shooting, which, I mean, they're a big family. You know, all Utah is nothing but Steeles. That's what it is. Their whole family lives in all of Utah. Or all the people in Utah are Steeles in one way or another.
I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Why would she do that? Of course she didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Well, Bibi has come out, like I said, with his second statement, and we can listen to it. Take a listen.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane. It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization. Charlie loved Israel. He loved the Jewish people. He told me so in a letter that he sent me just a few months ago. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. He encouraged me to make the case directly to the American people about how vital Israel is to U.S. national security. He told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Now, if Charlie disagreed with a policy of mine or a decision here and there, not only did I not mind, I welcomed it. This is the essence of Charlie. This is the essence of a free country. It's exactly what Charlie stood for. And I knew that his suggestions always came from the heart, from his love for Israel and from his love for the Jewish people. A few weeks before his death, I spoke to Charlie. I invited him to visit Israel again. And sadly, that won't happen. Now some are peddling these disgusting rumors, perhaps out of obsession, perhaps with Qatari funding.
Qatari funding.
What I do know is this. Charlie Kirk was a great man, and a great man deserves honor, not lies. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. May your memory be a blessing.
I don't know that.
I can't help it, but when I watch her facial expressions, she could say everything without saying a fucking thing.
Guys, that Israeli propaganda just ain't hitting the same. It's just not hitting the same. I feel like it was hitting in 2018, but like this is just not hitting. Gaza's not helpful. You talking about a free country, Gaza just kind of being bombarded because you want to make a beachside place vacation for your friends. It's not feeling good. And we can see what you're doing. We do know you are a cold-blooded murderer. Looking at what's happening in Gaza, there's no question about that. How many kids have been murdered, okay? And you're, again, saying too much. I don't know why you don't seem to be able to get through a speech without lying or implying a lie.
Yeah, no, something's not
Who
right.
specifically, BB, is funded by Qatar? Maybe, don't just maybe Qatar. In fact, you are the one, your administration is the one that has been under investigation for taking money from the Qataris. It was actually related to Gaza. So, and what you were going to do with Gaza thereafter. So why are you saying that about Americans? If we were taking money from Qatar, it wouldn't be a problem according to your administration and your cronies. So what's this about? I was so hopeful that you would be able to get through that speech without mentioning the Holocaust, but that was kind of the opening liner. Joseph Goebbels said, bro, Joseph Goebbels has nothing on the Zionists in America and the propaganda that they have pushed. I gotta tell you, that's the reality, okay? Let's go before him. Let's go to Sigmund Freud, how you guys created this system of propaganda. Who's the real father of modern propaganda, okay? It's the Freud family. We're awake to this. We see what you guys are doing. And you're not making people feel comfortable with the fact that you keep coming out to have to deny something that certainly wasn't asserted by me on this program. And you're doubling down on your lie. I told you to publish the full letter that Charlie wrote you, not lines of it. Okay? It's a lie by omission. And to stop mentioning the fact that you invited him to Israel just 2 weeks ago without mentioning the fact that he declined to go. Am I lying? Can anybody actually work and assert that I am lying? You can say my name. Candace Owens lied. Charlie said, I'd love to go to Israel. Charlie said, I'd love to have you on my radio show. And for some reason, that seems to be a common theme, that they have sent the hounds out, but they're unable to actually dispute the words that are coming out of my mouth. You have Bill Ackman, extraordinarily. I said, I will publish whatever it is that you say, Bill. You can come on the program. We can talk about that trip to the Hamptons. He just kind of, which was, by the way, you guys on Instagram were so funny. I didn't even have to say anything. You guys just saw right through it because we're all awake. He just, I guess, shared text messages with Charlie Kirk to dispel the claims of, you see how it says blackmail in parentheses, but they put Israel. I never said Israel blackmailed him. I never said that. Okay. And in fact, somebody that was at the Hamptons published a statement and said that Charlie said he felt morally blackmailed. Okay. So that doesn't help your case. But anyways, Bill Ackman published these private text messages, and I guess that just was supposed to dispel the idea that anything happened in the Hamptons. And yeah, actually what's missing from these messages are like a date, a context, and they don't dispel anything that I have asserted. Okay? So what's going on here? Then they trot this guy out, Eric Bolling. He goes on the PBD podcast, and this should be embarrassing. Like, the amount of lies coming out of this man's mouth was astounding, okay? But they ran with it. The New York Post, right? Outfit of the Mossad, outfit of the deep state, ran with it. Charlie Kirk had a breakup with Candace Owens, like as if we were dating. Let's listen actually to what Eric Bolling had to say on the PBD podcast.
At some point, her credibility, I mean, is going to go down the tubes because she needs to bring receipts. Bill Ackman brought receipts. How long was that tweet?
It's still going. I think
he was there in the
still
room.
reading it.
Andrew Colbert was there in the room. You're on the board of Turning Point?
Yeah.
Okay. When's the last time you saw Candace Owens?
In person?
Yeah.
2015,
Oh,
2016.
wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
When's the last time she was at a Turning Point event?
not in many years.
Okay.
But
so let's
you don't
without
have to
even
do this,
being
Adam.
biased.
There's a
is Candace even involved in Charlie Kirk's life at all?
No question, proof that Candace Owens has nothing to do. She would be in a perfect world if they didn't have this. What I already know was a very quiet breakup where she got too rabbit hole for him. She would be the logical heir to the TPUSA throne, but she's
and
not.
now she's not even invited.
Correct. So this is so their divide is.
Wait a minute, not invited meaning
she's not even there.
Yeah, she's not
there.
one of the names
What,
that
you don't think she'll be at the funeral?
No.
That's
I mean,
not the funeral.
The heir to
I'm
the
saying
TPUSA throne.
she doesn't speak at the events anymore.
I mean,
So that's just what it's so good for this to happen because you guys are watching everything that I'm saying and you can watch them lie. Eric Bolling, I just don't even get this one. How can you say that I have not spoken at a Turning Point USA conference in years when I literally went on tour with Turning Point USA on college campuses last year? Like that's just incredible. You didn't know that I went, I was on tour for Turning Point USA last year. You don't remember that happening at all. Okay, then I get fired from the Daily Wire. Turning Point USA is the first to issue a Christ is King statement of support. Then I do, what was it, the YWLS conference right after that. So let's just actually bring this in. What you are referring to, which is kind of a part of the story that we're telling you, is that the Zionists started circling Charlie and trying to control things. This was actually in the around September or whatever. And I was always very honest that Charlie and I had a conversation and they were putting pressure on, you can't talk to her. She's talking about Israel, blah, blah. I said, Charlie, I am under so much fire right now. Do not even, I'm like radioactive. Don't even worry about the comments. I have to rebuild my whole life. I have to figure out how to get my podcast back on the road. I literally, I'm banned from Australia because I stood up to Zionists. Like, I have so much going on. For me not to speak at AmpFest is nothing. Like, that doesn't even mean anything. Save yourself, okay? It means nothing to me. Tell them whatever you need them to tell them. And I'm going to focus on trying to rebuild my life because they also had me canceled from YouTube. Remember all that stuff at the end of last year? It was insane. Then I came back bigger and I came back stronger because at the end of the day, the truth will win against lies. That's the message. And so the reality is that then they came inward because that's what Zionists do. They started putting more pressure on him. And this time they didn't want just Candace Owens, it was Tucker Carlson because Tucker...
Right, exactly. She is forcing these people to open up and talk. And the more people talk, the more you can see what they're about. And look, I'm only going to say this one time. Please do not start fucking going after people in chat, okay? It's the quickest way for me to block you. You can disagree, but you ain't got to start calling people names and all that shit.
Went to AmpFest, and then they said that can't happen again either. And Charlie started realizing which way the wind was blowing. And in fact, in the very week that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he was saying that he wanted me back on the roster. That's where his mindset was at. You cannot dispute any of this because it's real. This is, then suddenly he gets the Schulman guy is the one that said, I want my name off of the building at Turning Point in the 48 hours leading up to his assassination, the couple of days leading up to his assassination. They were squeezing him, trying to control who he was allowed to speak to. And that started in real earnest, I can tell you, in Q4 of last year. And then Charlie had enough. And I've got a lot more that's going to come out about what happened at Turning Point. It wasn't just that. They were spiking the ball, where they were spending the money. It was almost like they just wanted to take over the company that he had built and turn it into just another outfit of the Mossad. Like that's the information that I have, and I want to make sure that I properly vet everything and go through everything. That's what it looks like, and it's going to come out. Okay, so your little talking points and the lies people can look up and research and see that's not true. And that's your big LOL point. Like, oh, well, the proof of this is she's not speaking at Charlie's honoring Charlie event in Arizona. And then they ask me these questions. They're like, when's the last time you spoke to Erica? Have you attended a Charlie Kirk? What is it? Can you pull up the weird thing? Because they're all running with these talking points. This is what we got from the Daily Mail. Is she planning to attend his memorial service in Arizona? Was she asked to speak? Or did she ask to be a part of the program? Why would I ask to be a part? Like this is obviously Erica is in like full control. I would hope she's in full control, but I don't know because I'm hearing some stories about donors that are pushing things. But let's reopen that. More questions here. Has she attended any of the vigils for him? Is she planning to attend? Does she speak to Erica? When's the last time they spoke? Board member Eric Bowling, by the way, he's not a board member, but that would have been a good fact check for you, PBD, said that Charlie Kirk had a quiet breakup with Candace Owens after she got too far down the rabbit hole for him. Has there been any communication between, if there hasn't been any communication between the two for many years, it's made up. It's just all made up. And like I said, the reason that they're doing this is because they want us to stop investigating the death of Charlie Kirk. I'm convinced this is a full-blown Fed operation. I'm hearing about the pressure that's even happening with planning this event. They're trying to make it seem like, oh my, how dare she? Did you attend a vigil? Except with anything. No, actually, I didn't attend a vigil. And nope, you're right. You got me. I was not invited to speak alongside President Trump and J.D. Vance on the stage with Tucker Carlson at a memorial event. What does this have to do with anything? The answer is it has to do with nothing. They're working on a narrative like they always do.
I like
they're coming in, they're
Rusty.
squeezing,
I really
and they're
do.
trying to
I
pretend
appreciate a woman
that
like
Charlie
that.
and I didn't speak for years. It could not be further from the truth. Okay? Charlie and I never for a single second stopped being friends. Ever. Never happened. They can't produce one shred of evidence to that effect. Nope. Just donors. And the donors at Turning Point need to be investigated. Because what I'm hearing, like I said, from Turning Point sources is not good. And guess what? If it's gotta be me, and you need to hate me forever, that's totally fine. On top of that, talk about a federal operation out of nowhere. Brigitte Macron just lies. I don't even know how they got this in the press. This is so dumb. Brigitte Macron comes out and says they have offered scientific evidence to the U.S. court to prove that Brigitte is a woman. That's what her lawyer says. Well, the lawyer's a liar because we haven't even started this case yet. So how could you have offered scientific proof to a court to prove you're a woman? Especially because you're not suing me over the claim that I said you were born a man. You were born a man. Oh, I guess you're born a boy, a male is what I should say. You're born a male, and you've never sued anybody for making that statement. You sue for things around it. You're suing me because you're saying, well, you said I stole the identity from my sister. I'm not a thief. You've never sued anybody for the claim that you were born male. So I don't know what this is. Just like we're just going to all hound Candace to try to distract her from looking into Charlie Kirk's murder and assassination. But it's focusing me more because this is not normal. Like the amount of lying that's happening right now is because you don't think I'm strong enough to handle it and you're trying to break me. You're not going to break me, okay? I watched him catch a bullet in the throat and we're being lied to by everybody about who was involved, why it happened, and why you are attacking the people who are, the person rather, who is trying to investigate it. You're not a good friend, they say, if you investigate this. Now they're running the, how dare you get clicks for investigating it? What? This is my show. How dare you get clips for even talking about me talking about it? You morons. You guys think we're that stupid? How dare Candace get clicks as we get clicks off of Candace getting clicks? It's so asinine. You're so stupid. And the entire world is watching. And that's what's problematic. Left and right, we are realizing something more sinister happened. We're not taking the MAGA bait. The dad MAGA. He's been more MAGA than ever. one of the commenters pointed out, why would the dad suddenly be more MAGA than ever? Like, what happened recently? Like, we're in September. Like, what happened that someone would commit themselves further to Trump, more MAGA than ever? In fact, it's been kind of the opposite. People think we're occupied by Zionists. More MAGA people are going like, it seems like Trump has kind of given up on free speech, and his administration seems to be controlled by Bibi Netanyahu. So that doesn't ring true either. And then it's like, oh, over here, the trans. Neither. Left and right, we're paying attention, and we're looking up at who rules over us, and it's not a pretty picture. I'm going to get to your guys' comments. Obviously, we've covered a lot here. First, I'm going to tell you about Tax Network USA, because if you are stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed the April deadline, or your books are a mess, you should listen to this. The FBI has been warning homeowners about a type of real estate fraud that's that work. This routine.
I don't care about no commercials.
Reduces fine lines and wrinkles. It locks in moisture, and it brightens for a healthy glow. And here's what I love most. Not only do the products deliver results, but it's also proudly American made. Every formula is crafted right here in the USA, rivaling the checkout. All right, Steve Carrington, thank you for the $20. He writes that this is for the Ackman Fighting Fund. And but he won't sue because then he will get cross-examined, and he won't risk it because perjury equals jail. I don't know, man. The fact that Brigitte is suing, this is what they do. Like I said, it's just what they do. You know, they've got people in their back pocket, lawyers, corrupt lawyers doing their bidding. I mean, they created the system, and then they mock us for participating in the system. Like I told you, Bill Ackman at this Hamptons retreat, according to one of the attendees, told them that they shouldn't even aspire to own a home, and they should just give money to stocks. Like, okay, I'm sure you own no homes. They just want to turn us all into slaves. Like, truly,
bingo.
That's what I believe
bingo.
About the billionaire class, of what they actually want out of us, which is just for us to work forever and to own absolutely nothing.
I don't
Krista
think
Young,
so.
thank you for the donation.
They probably just hit 'em.
Candace, something is not right, Krista writes. You are going to uncover the truth. They messed up, and we are here for it.
They got a crybaby on the warpath after their channel, and they probably just hit him just to keep from getting taken. Because, I mean, hey, what says free speech more than trying to shut somebody up, right?
Charlie said once, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. We don't know, but we know, so do not stop asking questions. Yeah, there is a reason they're doing this. They want, like, oh, just not until there's this memorial thing in Arizona.
So, after watching all that, it kind of makes you wonder what the hell's really going on. Let's see here. Let me see here. Let's see what else we can find here. Let's go and look at Tucker Carlson's last shot. Now, I haven't watched any of his stuff other than what Candace has played, so it'll be the first time I'm viewing any of it. Get past the entrance here. What the hell?
We had no water.
Hey, I'm Tucker Carlson. Last week, within just really minutes after Charlie Kirk was shot at that event in Utah, a kind of proxy war broke out over his memory. Who gets to own it? Who gets to use it? While the rest of us were still reeling in shock, trying to figure out what happened. A ton of people appeared online, not just in this country, to tell you exactly what happened, exactly what it meant, and exactly what we should do next. And you can see why. With this level of emotion, rage, and grief in the air, it's pretty wise to leverage that much energy. It's almost like nuclear power. It can be used for good or bad. And a lot of people wanted to use it. There's no question about that. So they began telling you, Charlie died for this, he lived for this, and he died for that. So the crazier reaches of the left, it was Charlie was a Nazi. And the lesson is Nazis get killed. It makes sense. He was a bad guy who got what he deserved, and a lot of them said that out loud. Certain parts of the right immediately told you that actually this was about something completely different. Charlie died for Israel. Many began to say the Prime Minister of Israel said that, and so did a lot of other people. Charlie was a defender of Israel, which he was, by the way, and therefore he died for that cause. But none of these explanations, all self-serving, are really satisfactory. They don't capture who Charlie Kirk was, and on some basic level, they're dishonest. Charlie was not a Nazi. He was not killed because he was a Nazi. Yes, he was a defender of Israel. He didn't die for Israel, however. Why did he die? What was his life about? What was the sin, the core sin that Charlie Kirk committed against somebody, power, that got him killed in the end? And the answer is right in front of us, certainly those of us who knew him. Charlie's life was defined by his Christian faith, not his spirituality, but his belief in Jesus, his life as a Christian. And everything in his life flowed from those beliefs. Everything he did, said, and believed came from the fact that he was, above all, a Christian. And that is and was, and in fact has always been, deeply provocative and offensive to the rest of the world. And why is that? It's worth thinking about it for just a second. Christianity doesn't seem like the kind of religion that would provoke people to anger and violence. In fact, it seems just the opposite. It's the world's most profoundly nonviolent religion, maybe the world's only truly nonviolent religion, a religion based on a man who Christians believe was also God, who, as he was being led away to be tortured to death on made-up charges, scolded one of his disciples for fighting back. This is a religion committed to love above all and to living in peace and harmony, truly. It's a universalist religion that believes that every person has a shot at heaven. It's not exclusionary at all. And so you would think it would make sense that if you're a government or if you're in power, that you'd want a lot of Christians.
I've never really watched Tucker Carlson too much. I'm just kind of interested in what he's got to say with this.
Living in your country, because they're not going to cause massive problems. Not a lot of sincere Christians are fomenting insurrection at any given moment. Pretty much none, most of the time. They're tidy, they get married, they love their children, they pay their taxes, they're commanded to pay their taxes. So why wouldn't you want a nation full of Christians? Why wouldn't you encourage this religious belief, even if it wasn't yours? Why would you hate it? Well, there are a couple of reasons. There are a couple of things about Christianity, and these were evident throughout Charlie's public life, that are deeply provocative to the people in power. And the first is the insistence that Christianity comes with inherently that you are not God. You are not God, and neither are your leaders. God is God, and all of us stand before him in the end to be judged, and all of us will be found lacking. Christians believe the only way to heaven is through Jesus. That's the only way. But all of us, whether we believe in Jesus or not, are fallen. We are sinners. We are less than we ought to be. We are not.
Let's get on with the show.
It's dark. There's nothing darker than that. And trust me, they believe it. The ones who've thought about it. It was clear to me that, Epstein's probably not like a Mossad agent or something, but Epstein clearly had contact with Israeli intelligence and American intelligence and French intelligence, but the only one you're not allowed to talk about is Israeli intelligence. But it seemed true to me, and I had done some work on that. I knew a bunch of people pretty close to that story, so I thought that. And I said that to Charlie, and I said, but I'm not going to say that because I don't want to make your donors mad. I know it's just going to be like an endless flurry of text telling you to stop or you're going to lose a bunch of funding. And he looked at me, I'll never forget it, and said, go all the way. Do it. Go all the way. I said, man, a lot of things I can talk about. I don't need to talk about that. And he said, do it. So I did it. By the way, I think that conversation, he had a mic on, and so did I. It probably exists somewhere on somebody's server, but that's, I think, a faithful rendition of what he said. And by the way, I'm not trying to blame him for my remarks. You can agree or disagree with those remarks, but I'm saying this only because I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country, immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder
too, man,
and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. And by the way, Benjamin Netanyahu is not the same as the nation of Israel at all. Bibi is despised by many people in Israel, and if you know people who live there, you know that that's true. There are huge divisions within the Israeli government. I mean, there are certain parts of the intel world in Israel that do not support some things that Benjamin Netanyahu has done recently. So it's not the same as attacking Israel, attacking Bibi, but I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie didn't hate Jews. He loved Jews. He had tons of friends who were Jews. He loved the state of Israel. He loved going there. He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course. Many were supportive, but the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died. 2 days before he died, he lost a $2 million donation because he had publicly pledged to bring me to the next Turning Point conference in December. And he told me over the past couple of months he was losing a lot of donations over that pledge. They put out a flyer basically saying that I was going to be at this event giving a speech. And so he would text me and say, man, I'm really taking a lot of heat for this, and people are really mad. The American Jewish Committee called in a statement Charlie Kirk an anti-Semite and, quote, dangerous.
Hey,
Charlie
Berkey.
Kirk, an anti-Semite. Yeah. He was not an anti-Semite. He was the opposite, and he was not dangerous. He was a great lover of people and a purveyor of peace. He was the opposite, and he was very stung by that.
All right, let's get
Those
on.
of us who've been called names for
Let's get on with this.
have been shot in the throat, and your reaction was captured for all time on camera. And I just want to start by playing it. I thought it was just an incredible moment that said so much about you and about him. So here it is. Oh, well, looks like we don't have a side. Well, in it, you said, the line that stuck out to me, your first reaction was, he was sent by God. That's the first thing you said. You'd not heard this news before. Why was that your gut reaction to his shooting?
Because I had spent so much time with him over the past few years, just on the air, Tucker. You know, I never went out to dinner with Charlie. I didn't know him quite like that, like a personal friend. But I'd had him on the show more than 15 times. I'd been on his show repeatedly. I'd been to multiple Turning Point events and, you know, talked with him backstage quite a bit. Just done a lot with him professionally, a lot. And I mean, I wonder if he's been on anybody's show as much as he was on mine over the past couple of years. And I got to know his thoughts on virtually everything. And I saw what people are seeing now, how they were all infused with his Christian faith, that he was a truly happy warrior, that he gave almost everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
That he had a...
Can anybody tell me why this Tucker Carlson dude looks like he's trying to shit and he's constipated? Is it just me, or does his face
much more positive
like
and
he's
optimistic outlook
straining.
on
See,
humanity
he even
than I
found
do.
that funny.
And I think than you do. I mean, I think we're
Yes.
a couple of cynical mofos. And Charlie wasn't. Charlie was like an angel. This picture that the left is painting of him in the news is totally foreign to my understanding of Charlie or to anything I've known. And I watched Charlie on his show too. I know the things they say he said that were controversial. They just fundamentally choose to misunderstand and misinterpret him. I mean, he was, you need look no further than Erica in order to see that he was real. Like her goodness, her love, their love story, her strength in the wake of his death. That's the woman he loved, and that's a woman who loved him.
Yeah,
Why?
I felt bad for Charlie's wife. All right, I'm done looking at that shit there. I ain't really seen nothing interesting in that. I don't know how somebody can sit through that shit. That's just me, though.
Take you off the radio for this. And social media, don't you be saying this, that you're equal with God. What's the matter with you? Your ugly, nasty self, equal with God? Come here, Jesse. Now, you know, I give Jesse a hard time, but he's deserved. No, he's a good guy. Thank you. Nobody can do that bad cat as good as you. Oh, look at this. Do it again. Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
So he's heard the criticism, and he doesn't care. He mocks it. In fact, watch this. He's really about to just mock it. So he brings in Jesse Duplantis to mock the criticism, mock those who push back on this, to the horror of their own eternal destiny. They just mock it.
I have the biggest house of any preacher in America. I'm saying that on television. You don't think they're going to nail me next week when I get home?
I am a billionaire because the assignment that the Lord gave me, he said, I want you to begin to confess the billion flow. Because as long as you were in the million flow, you were winning millions. You go into the billion flow, you win billions. So I said, yes, sir, I believe I receive it. That's been a number of years ago, and I have confessed that I am in the billion flow and that I am a billionaire in the kingdom of God.
You see, this is why I say they're not indwelt.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's all about money, ain't it? Yeah, what a douchebag. I just had to buy it. He gave it such a good deal. I just had to buy it. All right, y'all, I'm fixing to wrap this up. I just thought people needed to see that. If you hadn't been watching Candace Owens, I think you ought to pay attention to her. Right or wrong, she's asking questions that make people feel uncomfortable. Sometimes people need to feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to pretend like I know what the hell's going on, because I don't. But I will say this. I do not believe that kid acted alone. I just don't see it. You're talking about a 20-something-year-old kid that's never harmed anybody, doesn't have any kind of record, and he just went up there and took that man out like a cold-blooded killer. There's just something that doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what it is. I can't quite put my finger on it. But something just don't seem right. Y'all have a beautiful day, and we out.